The crypto market right now is really interesting, and here's why. This is one of the first years where everybody that trades crypto knows they're going to have to report. Let's say you're trading domestically in the US. You're going to have to report your gains or losses. And let's say you're like me and you have a lot of positions on. You've got 32 plus positions. Many of them are way underwater, but I don't want to give up my exposure to crypto. So what's going on my trading desk in our operating company right now is we're looking at every single project we're involved in. We're looking at the loss we could harvest. In other words, if I'm down 70% in helium or something, maybe I take that position, go back to USDC, then trade it into Bitcoin for the next 31 days, because that's the wash period, or 60 days, depending whatever your wash period is based on what your institution compliance says, or you individually have to comply to. Because if you're going to do that, you're going to get the tax loss benefit harvested in 2022 and still keep on a position in crypto. Now, here's the debate, because I just before we got on together was talking to my operating trading desk about this. There's an intrinsic assumption right now that Bitcoin is a good proxy for any crypto. It's really hard to see some project moving north of Bitcoin gains if Bitcoin is going to be stuck in a trading range of 19 to 22,000. Now, the assumption I'm making, and I'm giving you a lot of detail here because it's food for thought for everybody that's trying to make this decision over the next 6 weeks. If you're going to harvest your losses, you basically have to December 15th because things could get thin after that. I'm talking US domestic now. I'm looking at these positions every day and saying, okay, let's take off that Polygon position, or let's trade that Polygon position for the next month into Bitcoin and go through the tax period and then reposition at a new price, a new ACB average cost base, because this is the first year that everybody's worried about the IRS. The IRS didn't give a damn about this 2 years ago. Now they do. Even my own auditors, even our compliance department is saying, Kevin, what are we doing with our crypto portfolios? What's the plan? Let's go through every single position and harvest our tax losses.
Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary, also known as Mr. Wonderful, shares his views about cryptocurrency crashes, mass adoption, and the need for regulation in this space. Kevin O'Leary also discusses why big institutions are still hesitant to invest in Bitcoin and what major event could spark the next rally.
Policy. The number one issue around crypto right now is policy. Number two issue, policy. Number three issue, policy. And I'll tell you why I say that. I represent and am very close to the indexing markets. I do indexes for sovereign wealth, pension, hedge funds, universities, endowments, all that. Let's say you're a very oil wealthy emirate in the United Arab Emirates and you make 250 million US dollars a day. That's not uncommon. Where do you put it? You put it into the S&P, X oil stocks, X airlines, because you already own those. And so indexers like me make those indices. When I talk to those people about what they're going to do in crypto, they would love to index 1 to 3%. I ask them, well, what would you want in that? They say, we'll just do Bitcoin. It's so correlated to all projects. We'll just do 1 to 3% in Bitcoin. They don't own any yet. None. Zero. For all the excitement about crypto, the real money, where 70% of the world's wealth is tied up in sovereign wealth and pension plans, owns zero crypto. If they could get their hands on it, they would buy Bitcoin, which is why it's so interesting. The Canadians have an ETF where the underlying is Bitcoin. They also have an ETF where the underlying is Ethereum. But the institutions won't buy it because their compliance departments do not allow them to own it because there's no policy in the US. So my whole investment thesis here is you go long Bitcoin and you wait, because you either have to do it after this policy, in which case you probably leaves 20 to 30% price appreciation on the table, or you go in now and you simply wait. But I'm telling you, you're not going to get past 22,000. It's going to be stuck in this range for quite a while until we get policy.
Kevin O'Leary, chairman of venture capital firm O'Leary Ventures and star of TV's Shark Tank, said it's too soon to be writing off the cash-strapped FTX.com because an investor may appear to rescue the company once the world's second biggest cryptocurrency exchange. Trouble began at the weekend for FTX.com, the unit of the company providing services for non-U.S. residents, when details about questionable collateral at its brokerage arm Alameda Research sparked a run on the native FTX token FTT. This was followed by reports FTX.com has a hole in its books in the region of US $6 billion and in the need of rescue after rival exchange Binance pulled out of a planned bailout. This for a company that was valued at US $32 billion earlier this year.
Yeah, there has been a movement to understand this at the political level and at the policymaker level, certainly on the Hill in Congress, where we do have some bills that are getting close to markup. The Stablecoin Transparency Act is the most interesting piece of legislature out there right now because it has bipartisan support in a very partisan market. And that just deals with stablecoin around US dollar. And so it'll be companies that are willing to go through the process of getting regulated that use the US dollar as the backup to their token. And USDC would be a good example of that. The reason it's got bipartisan support and the reason there's so much interest in it on both sides of the aisles is it makes the US dollar by default as a payment system the world's default currency. Now, right now, the US dollar is used for energy. Obviously, a barrel of oil is traded in US dollars, but this changes the game. It makes any payment system anywhere on earth, anytime, totally transparent, totally productive, very inexpensive compared to SWIFT or ACH transfer, much faster, and actually is very good in terms of keeping the bad guys out of it because you know both ends of the transaction. And so you've got a lot of politicians supporting this movement. Now, the reason I like this as a Bitcoin guy, because I got a lot of positions in crypto, is it's not specific to Bitcoin. In fact, it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But when you see this policy go through, should it go through, it's going to indicate that we're getting policy in crypto markets, and it's going to lift Bitcoin itself, I think, 10 to 20% overnight. That's a speculation on my behalf, but I'm certainly positioning myself that way. I'm very optimistic that should the Stablecoin Transparency Act become law, it's going to lift all things crypto.
While the future of FTX is in doubt, O'Leary said that while the situation may look dire, it wouldn't take much to turn it around. If I could buy FTX today and figure out how much risk there is with regulators and everything else, I would be looking at that asset, he said. FTX has value. Many players know that there must be a tremendous amount of activity going on in the background trying to figure this out, he said. Here's a funny thing about liquidity. If in 5 years you saw a tweet that there was going to be a white knight, the withdrawals would stop. That's the remarkable situation.
What is not resolved yet, which everybody is waiting for, is what is the terminal rate the Fed is going to actually slow rate hikes or stop them altogether. And the reason there's optimism on that is you've seen the Canadians do this. They were supposed to raise 75 basis points. They only raised 50. And then the British are making noise about this. The Swiss, the French, other markets are starting to say, wait a second, we're going to slow down the pace of hikes. Now, the Fed has not jawboned that at all yet. However, the market is making the assumption that if every other economy is doing it, it's just a matter of time before the Fed does the same thing. And if we end up at a terminal rate of, let's say, 4.8, 4.9, or under 5%, that's still a historically very low rate.
So, do you agree with Kevin O'Leary that Bitcoin space needs regulation? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.